Imagine possessing the strength to tear apart a roaring lion, to lift the gates of an entire city, to defeat an army with nothing more than the jawbone of a donkey. Now imagine losing all of that, not because your enemies were stronger, but because you stopped protecting what made you strong. This is not just the story of the strongest man in the Bible. It is the story of extraordinary potential, human weakness, betrayal, redemption, and one final act that changed history forever. This is the true story of Samson, the strongest man in the Bible. Long before Samson became a legend, before songs were sung about his strength, his story began with sorrow. In the ancient land of Israel, the people were suffering under the rule of the Philistines. For 40 long years they lived under oppression. Fear had become normal. Hope had nearly disappeared. Among the Israelites lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They had no children. In those days, childlessness was heartbreaking. Yet one ordinary day, everything changed. An angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife. The angel brought astonishing news. You will have a son, but this child would not be ordinary. From the day he was born, he would belong to God. He would be a Nazirite. That meant he would live under sacred vows. He must never drink wine, never touch anything unclean, and most famously, no razor would ever touch his hair. His long hair was not the source of his power. Rather, it was the visible sign of his covenant with God. His strength would come from God's Spirit, as long as Samson remained faithful. Soon, the promised child was born. They named him Samson, even as a boy. The Bible tells us that God began to bless him. No one yet knew that this child would one day become Israel's greatest warrior. As Samson grew older, so did his incredible power. The Spirit of God would come upon him in extraordinary moments. One day, while traveling through vineyards, a young lion suddenly attacked him. No weapons, no armor, no sword, only bare hands. The lion charged, and Samson tore it apart with his own hands. An impossible victory. Yet Samson told no one, because he understood the strength did not belong to him. It belonged to God. News of his incredible feats slowly spread. Whispers became stories. Stories became legends. People wondered, could anyone defeat this man? But physical strength would not become Samson's greatest challenge. His heart would. Despite God's calling, Samson often ignored wise counsel. He became attracted to Philistine women, the very people oppressing Israel. Again and again, his parents warned him, but Samson insisted on following his own desires. One wedding celebration changed everything. Samson challenged the guests with a famous riddle. When they couldn't solve it, they secretly pressured Samson's bride into revealing the answer. She eventually betrayed him. Samson was furious. His anger exploded. Violence followed. What could have been a peaceful celebration became the beginning of endless conflict between Samson and the Philistines. This pattern would continue throughout his life. God had given Samson incredible gifts, but Samson struggled to control himself. His greatest enemy was often his own impulsive heart. How many of us can relate? But we all have talents, opportunities, dreams, and sometimes we become our own biggest obstacle. The Philistines feared Samson more than entire armies. One day, thousands surrounded him. He appeared completely defenseless. No shield, no spear, no sword. Only the fresh jawbone of a donkey lying on the ground. Samson picked it up. Then something incredible happened. The Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. Against impossible odds, he defeated 1,000 Philistine soldiers. One man, one simple weapon, one miraculous victory. The battlefield fell silent. It was one of the greatest displays of supernatural strength recorded in Scripture. But after the battle, Samson collapsed from exhaustion. He cried out to God for water, and God answered. Even heroes need God's help. Strength alone is never enough. Another unforgettable moment came in the city of Gaza. The Philistines discovered Samson's location. They locked the city gates. Their plan was simple. Wait until morning, then kill him. But Samson had another plan. In the middle of the night, he walked to the massive city gate. These were not ordinary doors. They were enormous wooden gates reinforced with heavy beams and iron. Normally, it would take many men to move them. Samson pulled them from their foundations, then carried them uphill. Imagine the fear that spread through the Philistine camp the next morning. Their trap had simply disappeared. Once again, no one could stop him. At least, not by force. Then came the chapter everyone remembers. Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The Philistine rulers saw an opportunity. They offered her a fortune. Find the secret of his strength. Night after night, she asked Samson the same question. At first, he teased her with false answers. She tied him with new ropes. Nothing happened. She wove his hair into a loom. Still, he broke free effortlessly. But Delilah refused to stop. Day after day, she pressured him. She questioned his love. She wore down his spirit. Eventually, Samson revealed the truth. My hair has never been cut because I have been dedicated to God since birth. It wasn't magic. It wasn't the hair itself. It was what the hair represented. His lifelong covenant with God. That night, Samson fell asleep. Delilah called for a man to shave his head. When Samson awoke, he expected another easy escape. But this time, the Spirit of the Lord had departed from him. His strength was gone. The Philistines captured him. They gouged out his eyes, placed him in chains, and forced Israel's greatest warrior to grind grain like a slave. The strongest man in the Bible now stood broken. Many people believe Samson's story ends in tragedy, but they miss one beautiful detail. While Samson worked as a prisoner, his hair began to grow again. More importantly, his heart began to change. The proud warrior became a humble servant. The man who once relied on his own confidence now relied completely on God. Sometimes, God allows us to experience failure, not to destroy us, but to rebuild us. Failure has a way of removing pride. It reminds us where true strength comes from. Samson finally understood. The real source of his power had never been muscles. It had always been God. The Philistine rulers organized a massive celebration. Thousands gathered inside the great temple of their false god. To them, Samson's capture proved their God was stronger than the God of Israel. They brought Samson into the temple to entertain the crowd. Blind, weak, humiliated, people laughed, mocked him, ridiculed the once mighty warrior. But no one noticed. His hair had grown. Quietly, Samson asked the servant guiding him. Then, for perhaps the first time in years, Samson prayed with complete sincerity. Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more. It was not a prayer for personal glory. It was a prayer for God's purpose. God answered. Samson placed his hands on the pillars. He pushed. With every ounce of strength God restored. The pillars cracked. The temple trembled. Stone collapsed. The mighty building came crashing down. The Philistine rulers perished. Their oppression suffered a devastating blow. The Bible tells us Samson accomplished more in his final moment than during much of his life. People often think Samson's story is about muscles. It isn't. It is about calling. God gave Samson incredible gifts. But gifts alone do not guarantee success. Character matters. Obedience matters. Faithfulness matters. Even the strongest person can fall. When pride replaces humility, even the wisest person can fail. When temptation becomes more attractive than truth. Yet Samson's story also reveals something remarkable. God's grace is greater than our failures. Samson made painful mistakes. He ignored wise advice. He trusted the wrong people. He lost everything. But when he sincerely turned back to God, God was still willing to use him. That is the heart of this story. Not perfection, redemption. Because God specializes in restoring broken people. Perhaps you feel like Samson today. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've lost opportunities. Maybe you've fallen far from where you hoped to be. Remember this. Your greatest failure does not have to be your final chapter. As long as there is humility, as long as there is faith, as long as there is a willing heart, there is still hope. Samson's greatest victory did not happen when he defeated a lion, or when he defeated 1,000 soldiers. His greatest victory happened when he surrendered himself completely to God. That is where true strength is found. Not in power, not in fame, not in physical ability, but in trusting the one who gives strength to the weak. Because the strongest person is not the one who never falls. The strongest person is the one who rises again through faith. And perhaps that is why the story of Samson has inspired millions for thousands of years. Not because he was the strongest man who ever lived, but because he discovered that God's strength is greater than human weakness. If you enjoyed this journey through one of the Bible's most legendary stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more epic anime-style Bible and history stories. Until next time, remember, true strength begins with faith.